Hey, welcome back to the channel, my fellow weather junkies. I'm your host, Greg Majeski, your personal weatherman here, bringing you the weather without all that social media hype here on your Monday, December 2nd, 2024. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we're tracking here for today as we're looking at another midweek snow blast coming in across the Great Lakes and heading into the Northeast. We'll talk about that clipper system there. We're going to talk about it staying cold in the east but milder in the west. There are some changes coming. We may get a little bit of a flip-flop going on there as we go deeper into the month. And then we'll take an early Christmas look. It's a little early, but we'll take an outlook to see what we're expecting as we head toward later into the month of December. Now, before we get into all this report, I first want to thank all the new subscribers here to the channel. It's great to see us growing in the right direction. And if you haven't yet joined the Weather Nerds family, personal invitation, why don't you go ahead and please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And if you like what you see with this report, please give me a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, as it does help with that almighty YouTube algorithm. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our morning satellite picture here across the country. Fairly quiet, no big major storm systems out there. We do have another reinforcing shot of some cold air coming down to some snows here across portions of Wisconsin and Minnesota. Very cold across the southeast and looking quiet here across the southwest. So a big portion of the country not seeing any major storm systems out there here for the moment. Looking at our current watches and warnings out there, we do still have some winter storm warnings and winter storm advisories here across portions of Lake Michigan, obviously with that cold air kind of filtering across Lake Michigan there. Freeze warnings down here in the south, but otherwise looking pretty quiet here across most of the country. All right, let's talk about our current surface map right here as we got that little clusters of snows coming here. You know, they may even get some snow flurries even as far south as Alabama, Georgia with this reinforcing shot moving in. Temperatures here in the 20s and teens, very cold indeed, even single digits up here in the high plains. So very cold here across the eastern half of the country as there's another reinforcing shot of some cold airs coming in. We got another clipper system that's going to be coming in as we head toward your Wednesday. Let's look at our one of the local radars here, continuing to see the snows coming off the Great Lakes. Not as bad as it was over the weekend. Again, we did measure it in feet, record-breaking amount, but you're still getting some of the snows coming in off the lake. And this lake effect will continue to maintain itself in some form or fashion really here for the next week. So we're going to continue to add to these very heavy totals. A lot of Interstate 90 in here has been closed down because of those heavy snows. Now let's go ahead and talk about what's the latest from the Storms Prediction Center. We're going to take a look and see if there's any thunderstorms we have to worry about here in the short term. And believe it or not, we do have a couple of areas here for today. They may get a rumble of thunder with some of those thunder snow there across portions of Lake Michigan. You don't see that very often. And we got a little slither down here in South Texas here also. That may see a rumble of thunder here for today, but that is about it for this afternoon. Now, what about day two? We do have something in here for day two as well. That's the only thing I see out there. Again, this will be down toward Texas, as we may see a rumble of thunder. Again, no organized severe weather expected here over the next couple of days. Just a couple of pockets here where we might see isolated thunderstorm or two, but that is going to be about it here as far as the short term is concerned. Now, what about the heavy rainfall? Obviously, not seeing a lot of this. This will continue to stay quiet here over the next few days, so no heavy rainfall totals expected there. And as far as the hazards outlook is concerned, the really main headache here is going to continue to be the areas there around the Great Lakes, obviously with that another reinforcing shot of cold air coming down with this clipper system coming in as we head toward the middle of the week. That's going to really kind of crank up those lake effects once again as that cold air blows over those warmer waters of the Great Lakes. So that's what we get to look forward to there as far as the rest of this upcoming week. Now, what about the short-term forecast? Let's look at the high-resolution model here as we're going to be looking at here basically the next 48 hours here as we're going to continue to see that lake effect continue on. You see the green there, kind of that, again, that snows that will continue to fall there as this very cold air stays in place here across the eastern basically half of the United States, but no major storm systems outside of this clipper system we're going to see. That's going to drop down here as we head in toward Wednesday, toward the end of this model. Here it comes right there. Start seeing the first hints of it here, just kind of showing up there just north of Minnesota as we go into late in the day on Tuesday. And that'll start to drop on down and spread into the Great Lakes, just starting to make its presence felt there as we go into Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. So this will, again, traverse across the Great Lakes and into the Northeast. But notice we're still staying very quiet out here in the West, not seeing any major storm systems. Storm track is not bringing in the typical storm systems in the Pacific Northwest and California, just not seeing it here on the short-term forecast. Now, what about the jet stream? Let's talk about that jet stream, okay? Of course, you see this kind of configuration, you know you've got some cold air in place. You see something like that, yep, you know we're driving some very cold air across the eastern half of the United States. Let's see how much it's going to change much here as we go through the forecast period. So this trough is going to move on out here. Here's another little impulse here. This is going in toward Tuesday and Wednesday. Here's our next impulse that's going to be reinforcing that shot of cold air there as we go through the middle of the week. So this is going to come on down. There's the next dive kind of coming in here as we go into Wednesday, reinforcing that cold air across the Great Lakes here. And then we'll see things staying cold into the weekend. Then as we go into this upcoming weekend, we'll see things begin to change and modify a little bit. Things will begin to warm up. We're going to be watching this little cutoff low here that's featured here, this little low here that's going to kind of eject on out. It's going to bring in some rains here across portions of the South Plains. Needed rainfall, that's for sure, but we'll finally get some energy. This will kick on out heading into Sunday and Monday. Boom, it kicks on out. And notice the jet stream configuration. We start diving here a little bit more toward the west here and definitely seeing things modify here across the east. So we'll get a brief warm up here as it looks like we're going to head in toward the following week. So cold for this week. Things begin to modify as you clearly see this jet stream doing a flow like this. Another little low, cutoff low feature here, featuring up, down, back this way. So we'll have some warmer temperatures here in the east, probably well above normal in some cases. And we'll show the temperature profile on that here in just a second. As this kicks on out and begins to move off toward the east, it moves on off, and then we got another short shot coming down here across the west. So it looks like the jet stream is kind of very stretched out. It's not very sharp. So what that means when you see these elongated jets like this, I mean, it's kind of, you're really not getting any major storm systems developed. Kind of smaller ones kind of embedded in the flow there. So it looks like the west is going to get a chance to cool down, and the east is going to warm up here as we go beyond the 7-day. I think we stay kind of on this cold pattern here into this weekend, and then it kind of starts to moderate a little bit as we go toward heading toward the middle of the month. Let's break this down and look at the precipitation profile here as we know what we got here going on the short term. We're going to look, watching that Clipper system. This is the one we're looking at going into Wednesday. So this is the middle of the week. Here's your middle of the week system. That's going to augment the snow chances across the Great Lakes. We've already got a lot of feet of snow on the ground. We're going to dump several more feet of snow on the ground without the system coming in. Just plan on that. We'll get some more snows into there where they don't need it. This will spread some snows across the northeast as well. Got a little rain here across the south, here across the Texas Gulf Coast, parts of Mississippi, and in Alabama. This is going to kind of move back out to the Gulf of Mexico. This is kind of a quick moving front. It's going to squeeze it right on out. Boom, just come on out in the Gulf. So we get a little bit of rain there across Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, and that moves on out. So we continue to stay cold into the rest of this week and into this upcoming weekend. Then as we go through the weekend, we'll start seeing things begin to change out a little bit. A little rain here across parts of Texas, a little unsettled weather there across portions of the Washington State, and another little weak system here crossing the Great Lakes as we head into Friday and into Saturday morning. That's going into December the 7th. Then we'll see that rain kind of pick on up out ahead of this next storm system. This rain begins to spread here across the Midwest and into the South. Probably a few rumbles of thunder down here across Louisiana, Mississippi, as we got a little cold shot here coming across the high plains. Not as robust cold as previous air masses, but that'll move on out very quickly. So that's one chance of rain. And then we'll see another weak system dropping here out of the west. This one will drop here this way into Texas as well. Give a mouth to work here for you. And you'll see that kind of move on out. This will kick out some more showers and storms heading toward the 11th of December. So we'll get some more rains here. So looks like we're going to get some needed rainfall here across portions of the country that definitely need it, as a lot of the country is still fighting some drought conditions. So it looks like we're seeing a bit of a pattern change where it looked like we stayed dry here for the most part for the first week of the month. And then as we go into the second week, looks like we start seeing regular precipitation progression here. Some storms here, probably some decent snows maybe on the back side of this across Wisconsin and into Minnesota going toward the 12th there as that pushes off. And then we'll see beyond the 10-day, we'll just kind of get an idea what the trend is. We get the rain across the south there. Another storm system out here on the west coast. Starting seeing some rains out here showing up here on the west coast finally as we go toward the middle of the month. And again, that kind of shows the pattern change taking place there. Here comes another system coming on out, and we get some more rains here across the Great Lakes and across the southeast. So the good news is, looks like as we get past the 7th, we start getting back in that traditional, more progressive pattern across the country where we get these rain chances to jump across the nation from coast to coast as we head toward the middle of the month. And so got a nice little cold shot with this one, and again unsettled out here in the west as we head toward the 16th of December. So some changes coming here as we head deeper into the month. All right, rainfall totals, looking at 10-day. I kind of keep it to 10-day on the rainfall totals here. Again, showing that pattern change. We're starting to get some rains here across the areas of the Midwest, coming into the south central portion of the United States from Texas and Louisiana. Starting to get some rains out here on the Pacific Northwest as well. And of course, the Great Lakes will continue their heavy snowfall efforts there with the lake effect snow machine continuing to grind there over the next few days. Here's the snow totals here. Again, we got several here for the next 10 days. Obviously, the Great Lakes are going to stay busy. We're looking at the Intermountain region of Utah, Colorado, and in parts of Wyoming. A little bit of Sierra Nevada also getting into the Cascade Mountains, I should say. Sierra Nevada is further south, but the Cascades up there across Washington State also getting some decent snows there as well. Let's look at the Great Lakes. Let's take a look at those. We'll zoom in here a little bit closer. Again, you're still adding several here. I'm still seeing some pretty heavy. Here's 20 inches down here. Once again, still seeing over a foot of snow here. And again, keep in mind, when it comes to lake effect, when it comes to this cold air that's blowing out over these levels, the models tend to underestimate them. They did big time with what we saw over the weekend. We're going to just continue to add some more snow on top of these totals as we go deeper into the month. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the temperature anomaly map. So we're looking at the below normal temperatures still in the east. You see all these green and blues in here, definitely seeing below normal temperatures here. Here it is, obviously the reds and the oranges, that's where you see temperatures above normal. Let's talk about how things are going to change here. We're going to keep it cold for this week. Not going to see any big changes here across the eastern half of the country. Going here, we got Wednesday. We get a little brief warm up. And there's another shot coming down here heading toward the end of the week. So really for the most of this week, everything stays pretty much the same there. But as we go into the following week, that's when we'll start to see some changes start to take place. Notice how things begin to warm up here as we go into next week. Notice here, we almost say goodbye to all that. We warm up big time out here across the eastern half of the United States as we see the above normal temperatures there. As we wait for this next system to kind of kick on out here as we head toward the middle of next week, here comes that system, boom. You see how much warmer it is here across portions here of the deep south and going into areas of the Midwest there. In fact, let's take a look at some of those readings just to kind of give you an idea how much warmer that's going to be. So we're talking basically, yeah, you see temperature here running some 30 degrees above normal out ahead of that next system coming in, moving in out of the plains and heading off toward the east. So that's something that we're going to see happen as we go into the second week. We're looking toward December 12th here. Right there. So let's go ahead and take this on out as this pushes on to the east, but still pretty much staying above normal across most of the eastern half of the United States. It's definitely a cooler pattern there starting to fill out toward the west as we go out to the east here, and then it starts to push off toward the east. So you're seeing the cold air will intrude out here toward the west, start moving off toward the east. This is a very cold air up here across just north of the border there in Canada, and looks like we hold on to as a front moves on through here. We're pushing off toward the east. We'll hold on to some warm weather, milder weather relative to normal as we head toward the middle of the month. Let's take a look at the Climate Prediction Center. Let's see what they're showing here, see if they're kind of seeing what I'm seeing here. I think we're pretty much in agreement. We got the cold air for the week ahead. This is going to stay in place. Colder in the east, milder here in the west on the 6 to 10 day outlook, going from the 7th to the 11th. Going to the 9th to the 15th, really kind of getting closer and closer to normal, just a little bit of below normal there. Big time warmer here out here in the west. But again, I think once we get past the 15th, this starts to chill down. This starts to warm up big time. So when we get the update here from the Climate Prediction Center later today, we're going to see that begin to flip. And as we take a look at what we're going precipitation-wise, notice it's drier here for the moment, but it looks like we're going to see the pattern begin to become a little more progressive. So I think this is going to go bye-bye here as we go later in the month. There's the 6 to 10 day outlook here. 9 to 15, now we're kind of near normal here. Still a little bit below normal here on the west coast a little bit, but looks like that's going to begin to change as well. So that dry pattern for the first week, that's going to hold and it's going to break it down. What about Christmas week? Let's talk about it right now, Christmas right now. This is looking at December 14th to the 27th, looking milder here in the east. Looking either seasonable for most of the west here, just a little bit above normal across the Pacific Northwest there. So what that means is higher, I would suspect, where we got the colder temperatures, better chances for snow out here toward the west, and maybe not so much here across the east, especially depending on how much warmer we're talking about here across areas of the Great Lakes and into the northeast. Precipitation-wise for that week, everybody's fairly close to normal, just a couple of pockets here above normal with precipitation for Christmas, going into Christmas week, down here toward the south central portions of the United States, up here toward the northwest, and maybe a little dry pocket here across the southwest. This is subject to change. This is the long-range outlook here. we're looking at heading out toward Christmas. So, and I'll continue to watch this closely for you folks who like white Christmases. We'll continue to see how that's going to develop as we go deeper into the month. So looks like we're going to see the cold weather holding in here for another week. We got to get another snow burst across the Great Lakes and then northeast as we head toward the middle of the week. Then the pattern begins to change and we get a little more progressive with the rain chances coming in for the second week. None of these storm systems look eye-popping right now, but at least we're going to get the chances of rain back in here, especially for a large part of the country, which is still dealing with fairly dry weather and drought conditions kind of spread here and there across the lower 48. All right, that's your update for now. Again, if you'd like to make these part of your regular YouTube feed, and if you haven't yet subscribed, please consider it. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you'll learn on future content. And if you like what you see, as always, leave me a comment, give me a thumbs up. I do appreciate your support of this little weather channel here in the YouTube universe. All right, that's your update. You guys take it easy, be good, stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.